everyone. Today I'm going to be doing a games review of Vindictus. That'll be my first game review. I played this game extensively, so I thought I might as well share an evaluation or a review of the game with you guys and girls. So today I'm going to go over like all the classes. Vindictus offers a lot of different styles of gameplay. You could play like a DPS guy, a mage. You can play like archer. You can play like a barbarian kind of dude. And each character has like their own unique like battle style. Not any one of them I would say is like pretty similar to one another. I mean, some of them is like pure movement and speed. Others is like block and counter, and others is like timing and skill. So they all like have a different playstyle. It's no one really plays the same. They all have two different weapons. So for the mage, you could play like a battle mage with a scythe, and you'll be moving fairly quicker, a bit faster than usual. But then you sacrifice like heavy damage spells and support skills. But then you also gain like keeping up like the stamina for the party, so then they can output more DPS, more damage per second. So today I'm going to just introduce Lann and his twin spears. Lann is a quick style play kind of guy. He's more of the DPS guy than anybody else. He can either use twin swords or twin spears. Twin spears has a lot less survivability for the price of damage. So damage is a lot greater. If you master the dodge in terms of skill, then you'll probably become very, very proficient at him in doing damage. So the thing about Lann is that he works off criticals, so that he's very like all the crits really have high multipliers and counters. His gliding fury is like a 1.0 times damage multiplier, whereas his like hurricane such as this spin is only like a 0.2 modifier or something. And then the twin splitter such as this, that one's more of a higher multiplier, but you lose your mobility for it. And then his other attacks are just like to prompt things. His smash here is one hit. It's not as powerful. His gliding fury is his main attraction for damage. It hits like 1,200 as opposed to my other attacks. That's a non-crit too. A non-crit gliding fury hits 1,000 something. So a crit would probably be double that, do twice as much damage. So his smash only hits 600. His damage isn't fairly too good against this boss because my guy has low attack. And then here's the hurricane. It doesn't hit as hard, but it gets the job done. Twin moon splitter like this hits a bit harder than the hurricane, but you don't move as far. So that's Lann in a nutshell for twin spears. Everything else apart from that is going to be movement, skill, and dodge. As you can tell, it's pretty hard for me to do this while talking. And as well, like that, I just ate like a lightning breath out of nowhere, and then I get kicked to the floor, and I'm already almost dead. So the game is pretty hard. This game isn't like a walk in the park. It's pretty hard if you're a first timer. It's fairly difficult. And I'm just trying to get. Oh, and he also has like a Fury Infusion skill, which lets him utilize more of his other attacks. It grants 22% crit and about 1,000 extra attack power. For every 1,000 attack power, you do about 5% more damage. On top of that, you can activate another Berserker buff, which costs some SP. SP is this yellow bar here. And when it's at 4 bars, every character has an ultimate at level 52. So that's very useful. Oh, I got grabbed, and that's it for Lann here. This boss will insta-kill you if you get grabbed. So that's Lann. And I'll go... So we'll go to the twin swords next. So with Lann's twin swords, the attacks are a lot more... They're a bit slower, but they hit fairly decent. Like it's mediocre damage, and they recently buffed it. But his survivability is way higher with the twin swords. He can double dash, which gives him like almost like 2 seconds of invulnerability. and you can also like quick strike a dude with double crescent, which is sort of like a quick in, quick out move. He also has a sharp skill, which 1,000 needles kind of thing. So if you like poking dudes, like just like this, and then stab somebody, you get like a crit buff for it. So he does have like equal DPS around this. Again, it's all skill based. If you can hug yourself to a boss and stay close to him and just non-stop attack, you'll probably be outputting the most damage on the team. Twin Swords works best with like against bosses who react a lot or do a lot of attacks. And you can just like counter it. I took like no damage from that. Oh god, I'm so screwed. Look at that, I just dodged like everything and I don't even know what I'm doing. And I have like the weakest swords on right now, but this is just for demonstration. And I'm frozen. Not exactly the best thing ever. So the Twin Swords is a fairly different. You can survive a lot better if you just like, especially if you need to figure out a boss's attacks, you can just like dodge around and just do whatever you like. Look at this. Just like you won't die. Or well, it's fairly hard to. Oh. Yep. So you just need a little bit of practice, and dodging becomes pretty overpowered. So far, so good. Once again, dodged all that, just threw like 5 attacks at me and I took absolutely nothing. You just don't want to get, you don't want to be attacking a boss midway through their attack, otherwise you're just going to get hit and knocked aside. That's the worst thing that can happen. Then you can do the 1,000 needles buff. And that dodge is really powerful. If I had a stronger weapon, I'd probably solo this boss too. It'd probably take a while, but the chances of dying and success are really high. Or the chances of dying are really low, success really high. That's that. So that's Lann. I'll show you guys Fiona next. So Fiona's more of a counter character. She's a fairly hard hitter, and she's like the tankiest of every other character. So I guess she's like the tank of the team. You can use like either a small shield or a large shield. A small shield lets you counter, whereas a large shield doesn't. Small shields work a little bit differently, but Fio hits pretty damn hard. She's pretty good in most cases. I know a lot of people like high-end Fios like freaking solo raids by themselves. She can play as like any kind of survivable class. Like she has the highest defense rating. You can get 10,000 defense and a boss will hit you for like 75 damage. And when you're at like 7,000 life, well, the boss is going to take 100 hits to kill you then. Or nearly about there. So, I mean, that's fairly ridiculous. And if you're a paladin, you can boost that even further, up like another 3,000 defense. And then the bosses will basically, they're going to need more attack power in order to hurt you at all. And at the same time, she can get really high attack power too, on top of the high defense. So I've seen Fios with like 19,000 attack and like 12,000 defense. It's absurd. I have no idea how they get that. So here we'll showcase you what she can do with a longsword and a small shield. Small shield you can counter a lot. The large shield you can block pretty much everything. They changed some mechanics with it recently. The large shield can block anything now, even the unblockable attacks for every other character. The attacks are like unblockable, but if you time it in terms of like a just impact, I don't know if you played Soul Calibur, but if you do it right at the right moment, just before it hits you, it'll be negated completely. and your shield takes like almost no damage from it from doing that. And you'll see green sparks come out when you block an unblockable with a large shield. You can't do it with a small shield though. So here we are with a longsword. That kick is so strong. It's like 5k attack, and this is like only with only 12,000 attack power. I'm using like a level 59, 57 sword here, and I'm fighting like a gargantuan here. And she's got counter, double counter. Shield bashing, double counter. Look at that, her SP is already at max almost. Like that SP bar filled up super fast. You can do a shield charge already, like this, her level 52 ultimate. She's pretty strong, and this is only a level 64 character with like level 50 gear. Pretty strong. You don't need endgame gear to be pretty strong with her, which is pretty nice. Of course your shield will break too if you counter too much, but she has a skill later on at about level 30 where you can learn it. It's called shield repair, and it takes like about a second to repair your shield back to full durability for the purpose involved. The thing about it is that it costs like 2 bars of SP, so that's 500 points there gone. Oh, just taking hits like no tomorrow. You can also be a bit more careless too, considering she has high defense. As you can see, I'm actually pretty careless here. So there's 2 different kinds of block. You have regular block for those kinds of attacks, and then a heavy block for like the bigger things. Her combos are pretty strong too, especially the smash parts of them. I think if you rank up the heavy standing counter enough, that you can actually double that charge, that little dash charge that I do. Yeah, that one. The hammer is a different case. The hammer is actually like quite a bit more. It's a lot slower, but you can stun bosses on a full charge if you're skilled enough. I haven't actually played the hammer for a long time. I was like back in beta in 2009 and we're in 2013 now, so that was like 4 years ago. Car there in his dash. So that's Fiona, long sword. As you can tell, it's really damn long. So, show you the hammer next. Alright, so with the hammer, she can actually pump out quite a bit of DPS during a situational situation. Well, during a situational event, that's kind of redundant. Anyways, the hammer is like, it's the DPS weapon for Fiona, contrary to what some might think that the sword is, simply because she's got a smash that you can refresh over and over and swing it around like a golf club, and it's the butterfly swing. You can do it repeatedly, like this, 2, 3, and that's the move that when like a boss is downed or isn't moving very often, you would use that technique repeatedly. Whereas the charge attack, it's better for a strike that you prepare for, since the boss is not there yet. As you can tell, it was like just smacking this guy away. And people use like slashing high with that combo, so then you don't get interrupted. You can just keep attacking as much as you like. Oh jeez. Well, I've got a defense boost by 3,000. Do I have that? I have 9,000 defense. More than like my highest character. And this character isn't even max, so that's pretty retarded. Build some SP. Show you the Stigma Hammer. Pretty strong. Okay. double counter, and then here slashing high, so I can't get interrupted. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I canceled it by accident. She also has a shield bash skill, which has a high chance to knock down bosses, and it definitely sends creeps flying. It also has invulnerability frames. People use it to dodge like unblockable attacks too with a small shield. If you're skilled enough, you can time it just right. 1, 2, 3. Ooh. So as you can tell, if that Stigma Hammer charge actually crits, you can expect it to do a huge amount of damage. It hit like 6,900 on Shakardis here right now, and I'm only using a level 57 weapon. If it was any higher, I'm pretty sure it'd be devastating. There goes my buff again. So the hammer's a lot slower. It's fairly difficult to use unless you have some speed or attack. Oh, I'm just gonna get wrecked here. It's about half the speed of the sword. Oh, another thing is that the hammer can actually crit too on its normal attacks. Every other weapon can't crit with their normal attacks, only this hammer can, which is fairly unique about it. But normal attacks don't do too much damage, they do about a quarter of a smash. Not too much. And that's Fio. Fio with the hammer, longsword. Those are her two weapons. Crash. And that's Fio. Thanks for watching. We'll show off Evie next. So Evie's playstyle is it's drastically different than the other two that I've shown off already, Lann and Fio. She's more of a support mage character. You can play her as a DPS character too. It all depends on you. But most of her skills are like party-wide buffs, and the buff for herself, well, it gives her attack speed. So in terms of the Scythe, she can either play as a Scythe or a staff wielder. And she's the only character that can heal other characters with her healing spell on the staff. So that really drives the support argument that she is. The Scythe, on the other hand, is more of the keep the DPS up, because it regenerates everyone's stamina in the party by about like 10 stamina per second, which is quite a bit at max. And then her spells recently got a major revamp and a rework. So casting in this game is also skill based. You can't cast like you don't just sit there and watch an animation. You actually have to like press a button, and you can actually time it too to cast faster. So casting is skill based too. It's like just inputs, just like Theo's block. The thing that's interesting about the Scythe is that you can leave marks on a boss, and they will basically grow damage, or there'll be like an extra smash after your sequence of attacks. So the mark of death here is like this little skull thing on top of Shakard's head here. It's constantly doing a damage over time, consistently over and over. And you can see it's pumping 42 damage like every half a second. You can blink. Blink is really useful. The skill is like makes you move really far for very low cost of mana, and it makes you invincible. And you can dodge most things with it, except a few unblockable attacks like Kolru's Meteor Storm. That's a little impossible to dodge because it curves so well. But apart from everything else, the Scythe is pretty fast. As you can tell, 61 attack speed, and this isn't even like maxed out. And it lasts for a whole minute, which is crazy long. And then when you right click, it pops all that damage on him. Oh, wait, let me just get a recording of that, see how much damage it actually does. So that's 2,800. Now when I pop both of these, we get we get a jumbled of numbers of like 3,000 and 4,000 of both of those attacks. If you do the second smash, this ground smash thing, and then you do your grapple, then you get to summon a wisp. And that's this little white thing here. And you can send it off as suicide, and it does quite a bit of damage, but it costs a bit of SP. And why Evie is as highly supported is that her ultimate also disables bosses. Almost like every boss you can lift up. And while it's being lifted, people can continuously do more damage. So her playstyle is like more of a support role, or a nuker, because you have a lot of burst damage, but you don't have a lot of continuous damage, except for when you're playing the Scythe. So as you can see, you can stay on the boss forever if you just like relentless and you know all their techniques. I mean, I've done this one with Evie like over and over. You can practically just hover around this guy forever. He can't do anything. Look, he's just like sidestepping. And he's got life drain too. Use drain to damage the enemy and consume their HP. Activate by pressing the smash key. And that's like all the buffs. So you can set up a bunch of things here. Send the wisp in, and it does like 3,000 damage. So everything is really high, heavy hitting. Because she's like a mage. That's what mages do. Smash things apart. And then he's down. Might actually kill him in this demo. Might as well. Like my Evie is just going nuts here. And then you've got like a magnet spell. That's it. So that's Evie with a Scythe. Not too good with a staff, but that'll be up next. Now, staff Evie plays drastically different from the way Scythe plays. If you played, hang on, let me just grab a practice coupon. Sorry about this. Anyway, staff plays vastly different from the Scythe, well, in my opinion. And the playstyle for the staff is more like you stand still, you cast, and you let go of your spell, or you can memorize it, which with the new with the new mode, with the revamp of the staff, she's being changed to have a different casting system. She's got like the 3 elements now: lightning, ice, and fire. It used to all just be like one element, and like arcane or whatever, who knows. It was just like called magic damage. And other things changed was that her heal can now provide a shield bonus to allies. The shield bonus is very great because it blocks a hit for half its damage, and it also heals the person for about 3,000 HP or 2,000. I think it's like 1,300 plus like how much intelligence the Evie has. So like casting is different. I don't even know how to do this these days. Hallucinate. Landmines, healing, and that's the Ice Blast, and Firebolt is now. Firebolt is definitely really strong. Lightning Bolt. Let's see, Ice Spear is still this one. Ice Spear can stun bosses for a few seconds, which is very good. It's like another disable. Lightning Wave, Shotgun of electricity. And she's got her 4th tier spells, which take forever to cast, but they do the most damage. So Ice Blow. Smack that into somebody's face and spike them on the side of their head. And Fire Shot. This is like Jakiro from Dota 2. His ultimate. And Guided Lightning. So Blind Arrow became Guided Lightning. And that's what it is now. Here's a Firestorm. And those are all her spells. Forgot how you memorize. Hang on. Okay, so I figured it out, even though I have it maxed. I haven't played this for a while in terms of the staff. So you just cast, and then the skill you want. Oops. you gotta hold left click. So while you hold right click and then you cast and then you press the button and then it saves there. So you can see it at the bottom, all 1, 2, 3. So you can actually like insta cast your spells. Oops. Gotta get used to that. Nope. And there's my ice spear. And there's a lightning wave, so you can just insta cast it after you saved it. And just so that's pretty deadly. So during like when a boss is like blinking around or something or not doing anything, then that would be the best moment to actually start casting and save up your spells. You just cast like all of your big spells in one go. So then none of your spells are ever on cooldown. Because you can technically cast them one by one the slow way, and they'll always reach their cooldowns before you can recast them. But if you do it this way, then you can cast them all, and then you'll be like utilizing everything that you can. So as you can see here, I'm just gonna save them all. The fun thing about casting is that you see that blue bar on the right there. Every time it hits one of those black lines, if you press right click again, it'll immediately go to the next one. Whereas if you just hold it, it goes a lot slower. But if you miss it and you press too early, it cancels out entirely. So there's that give or take consequence, and that skill factor in terms of the staff. So this is practice mode here. I'm just trying to demo some skills. Well, not my skills, but Evie's like combat here. So that does crazy damage. It's like 4,000 something. Her defense is Mana Amber, which is like this shielded form. You can't get hit by most things, but you can get hit by magic attacks. Keegan here is just blinking around. That would be like the time when you would cast and wait. Oh, that's not good. And that's magic, so it can block that too. Oh, I guess I can block some magic. I thought I could block any. And then a heal. That's like all my life back, basically, almost. And here's this lightning blast. That does a lot of damage. And her main attack is like magic arrows. I'm gonna end up dying. Oh, got captured. So like certain bosses send you off into a different arena too. So there's a lot of things that bosses do that you don't really expect if you're first time playing. It's unique in most ways. I haven't really played any other game that does this. Most games is like most other games they have like, all the bosses share like same attacks or same patterns, but Vindictus is like all the bosses, they're fairly different halfway throughout, but the first few I'd say they're kind of generic and they do that recycle. But as Season 2 came out, all the bosses are actually doing different attacks nowadays. So the Season 1 bosses, the first bit is they all use the same attacks kind of thing. And as a staff, you also have a skill called Regeneration instead of that Insane Reaper skill. And it restores party members' HP by 77 HP per second for 15 seconds. That doesn't sound like a lot, but it's actually quite a bit, and it's party-wide. And it's very useful, and I'm gonna get insta-killed. And that's Evie's staff, so not me playing very well with it though. So I'll show you guys Kai next. Alright, so Kai in Vindictus is more of the range DPS character. He's actually considered one of the highest DPS outputters in the game, especially with a crossgun. The bow is pretty good too. The bow has a bit more survivability, I think, considering you can wrap around the stage and plan like a pivot where you can yank yourself back to safety after running around a far distance. And you can also precise target aim, so you can go for break-offs on bosses. So I'm going to show you his Shortbow Longbow weapon right now on this boss. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. I haven't really played him that much. He's also got a ricochet shot which bounces around enemies, which is good for certain bosses that is like there's more than one boss. Say the Kraken, for instance. The Kraken, there's like so many tentacles that if you plant a well-placed ricochet shot, you can actually hit the whole boss 7 times. It's pretty good. So this is the Shortbow mode. And he's got kicks. You can switch his bow to the Longbow mode, which is pretty sick. I mean, it switches on the fly. And then you can actually precise target aim. As you can see, this red reticle here. If I hit that, that's a critical hit, and it'll make the boss flinch. Well, that hit 2,000. So there's another one there on his paw, but I missed it. It's actually fairly difficult considering you like stop moving once you shoot. Again, the skill factor is if you let go of the arrow at the right time, it does like a piercing shot, as opposed to just like a regular shot, or just a fully drawn shot. So that skill factor shot is a lot more powerful than just like a fully drawn one, or one that you just let go really quickly. And then the short bow is more of like on the move kind of thing. You're not as slow, and you can just fire as you move. And then here's one of my favorite moves that Kai has, is this Eagle Eye Assault. You can shoot like a bunch of parts on a boss. You just gotta find an opening to stand still and aim. Okay, there we go. Oh no, that's too slow. And his dodge for bow is pretty OP, but so is his crossgun. Okay, there we go. So it's like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that killed the boss. Okay. So yeah, you can see like you can precise target with Kai, especially with the Eagle Eye Assault. And that's his bow in a nutshell. He's like fairly simple to play. Ricochet shot, and he's got sort of like a dash kick kind of thing, which hits fairly harder compared to like the other things. So you can, if you dodge it well enough, you can like dodge around, kick a guy, and then like shoot and run away. Pretty good for PvP too, if you ask me. And then he's got his chain pivot thing here, which if you run away and you're in danger, you just need to evade. Whoa! And you get wiped all the way back to where it was. So there's that. I'll show you the crossgun next. The crossgun for Kai is fairly different. You have like this little reticle here in the center, like you actually have an aiming reticle to show you where you're firing. And you also have to reload your gun. And there's of course an active reload, but the active reload's more like if you can count out like how many bullets you've shot out. I think after under 10 bolts left, if you reload it, you get like a crit buff for like the next few shots. Like they are full on crits. And that's why the crossgun Kai can be the highest DPS output based on skill, not based on gear or anything. It's actually player skill that it requires. So like Vindictus gives a lot to those who play like the role that they want to play very well and practice a lot and whatnot. It's a bit like a sport, but I wouldn't, well, not really a sport, but still it drives on reaction time and like a lot of brain power. As well, his dodge is pretty quick. I mean, it's just a tumble, and then you can smack something with it. His jump assault is like a bomb. Oh god, I got hit already. And then like you can just fire away. Of course, shooting drains stamina. And then reload. And I got that buff. Now they're all like all crits. And then the numbers just like fly like crazy for those first few shots. You also got hand grenades. That you can throw out. And if you shoot them, they blow up. Or they walk over them, so they're kind of like landmines just sitting there. And they have a high knockdown ratio. See, there's like 2 of them, and the guy's already on his knees. Now the thing that's kind of funny about him is he actually plays a bit like Evie. As you can see at the bottom there, his gun's like rolling. It's like a roulette kind of thing, but it's the same thing as like the casting that Evie has, which is actually kind of similar. except that he can actually do it on the move, whereas Evie has to stand still. So there is similarities, but the playstyle I still find is extremely different. You wouldn't play Evie like you would play Kai. Like Kai, you just run away and shoot. Hope you don't die. I've seen people like solo raid bosses with Kai too. So then here's this, and then we will loot. He's got like a 6-shooter here. It's like a shotgun of explosives on your target. Like this. Punk. And that guy's got 6 bombs on him, and I just have to shoot the igniter on him now, and he's gonna blow up. Whoa! So there's that guy. He's down. Another one is that he can plant himself on the floor and just unload like crazy, and it does crazy damage. If you have high crits, it'll be a crazy damage dealer. Oh, I don't have enough for the bolt storm. Let me just gather a bit more XP here. Oh, I gotta reload. Okay, I have enough now. So the bolt storm, I gotta get into position. Hope I don't get interrupted. And there we go. And that's the bolt storm. And his level 52 ultimate's actually, it's not bad. Like, I know that's a 3rd level cast, but his level 52 ultimate is not bad. His level 52 ultimate is actually a giant mushroom cloud nuke, which causes a boss to be stunned temporarily. Very powerful and massive AoE. There goes that guy. This guy's taking absolutely no damage. Okay, and I'm pretty sure I can actually cast that now. So let's see if I can have enough. Oh, massive impact is not even enough. I think you actually need your whole bar of SP to use that technique. Max it out. Okay, I'm at max. There's no way in hell that it's still unavailable. This one is sweet. And that's that. And that's Kai's Crossgun, guys. Like, roll around and just smack this guy around. It's fairly hard as well. Throw a grenade. Haha, boom, I exploded some shrapnel into your eye. You can also get break-offs fairly easily too with the grenade. See? It's just like making everybody like hurt. Dangerous. So I'm not too sure what other skills he has. Oh, and then there's a perforate. The perforate skill is actually pretty cool. It causes knockback. You can use that to your advantage, having the knockback, because some bosses have an attack that just comes right up to your face and you won't be able to like dodge it unless you turn on. I'll show that as well before we're done here. Okay, and this is perforate. Load it up. 3 shots. You can see the ammo here, these 3 little triangles. And this is like a massive piercing shot. Boom. Causes crazy knockback. Let's see if I can pierce the eye of the bear. Oh, I missed. Anyways. So yeah, that's Kai's Crossgun. You can imagine pumping attack speed on this gun will just make it shoot way faster by a percentage. And you'll unload just way faster. And he's got a party buff to help generate more SP as well. So there's some kind of support in it. So that's Kai's Crossgun, guys. And I'll show you guys Karok next. And this is Karok, guys, this huge giant of a man here. The manliest man of all characters in Vindictus. He uses either a giant glove here, like the Cestus, which is his arm gauntlet here, or he can use a giant pillar. The way Karok's playstyle is that you actually have to get hit as your defense mechanism. If you get hit at the right time, you completely negate the attack, which is Karok's playstyle. It's extremely dangerous. So Karok's defense is basically, let's run in and get hit. If you get hit at the right time, then you get 0 damage. So you can imagine people who actually study the boss's movements. You can just like hug the boss all day long as well. And that's the skill factor in terms of Karok. As well, he's the only character who can hold down a boss during like an attack. And then see, there you go, I took a hit there, and that only gave me a buff. As you can see, my con was powered up. And that charge attack can be grabbed. As you saw that little small hand icon, I'll try and grab it. So come on, charge at me. Does nothing. Oh, that failed. I just like clashed his head instead. I'll have to wait a bit for that. What's interesting about his glove is that you can charge it now. They added some new mechanic. Oh shoot! Oh, I didn't mean to do that. And his level 50 ultimate is some kind of hulking fury. Lets you do like a string of attacks for free with added bonus attack power and speed. Let's see if I can flash him again. I don't think it happened. Oh, I missed. It's fairly difficult. I'm not a pro at doing it, but it looks so sweet when it happens. Oh, there we go. And you like just play mercy fights with him. Like you can easily overwhelm him. Or you can try and hold the boss down. The skill factor comes in and you watch your stamina drain, and you try to overwhelm the boss when you're at the very bottom, so you hold the boss for the longest time. I've seen some Karoks in Transform 2 hold the boss for like a good like 20 seconds almost. I think it was 20 seconds. It was very long. And the whole party is just like thrashing the boss down while Karok is holding him down. You can do this with pretty much every raid boss almost. There's only a few bosses that you can't do it. And it's a very sweet mechanic. It makes you look like a hero. Especially with Siglint. Siglint's the lightning dragon. When he comes to grab you, you can actually grab his foot and throw him into the floor instead, rather than him taking you for a ride to kill you. So, what's this technique? Raging Volcano. So, and then the Clash of course has a cooldown, because it's a really strong technique if you land it. So the buffs here is attack speed, attack power. So the blue buff is free crits for the next 3 smashes. The green buff is attack speed. And the red buff is attack power. It goes in order, so it's always green, red, blue. There's no random. It's not random. So you just want to time it. Know what you're doing. Oh, and then you can, like, when bosses are kneeled down, you can also, like, do a cinematic kick that hits really hard on most bosses. If the boss is extremely large, he can still do it, which is pretty sick. Let's see if I can get enough to do my ultimate. We're almost there. Forgot how fun this guy was. Oh no. Oh no, you don't. See, you just like see if you can hold him forever. You don't want to lose the fight because you're gonna take a lot of damage because it's just in your face. Well, like that was pretty long. Oh, and I died just before. Oh, I guess he got his revenge. So that's Karok with a Cestus. Well, unfortunately, I can't do the pillar because I don't have any AP for it. Oh, actually, I can try. But yeah, we can try. Do that. Just give me a sec. I'm just gonna get some gear for him. So Karok's pillar is it's fairly different. it's more of the DPS factor of Karok. The Cestus is more like a mobile attack kind of pattern, if you ask me. And his absorb shock is different too as well, like his defense mechanism where you take a hit. Whereas with the Cestus, it completely negates an attack, but for the pillar, you actually take the damage, but it recovers it really quickly. So it's actually fairly different. So you can actually go down all the way to 1 HP, but you can watch it like recover all the way back up. As well, he can also toss his pillar for a different attack, and I don't have the lore slab maxed out, so I'm not too sure how to play the pillar here. Oh, you see, my HP is like going down, but you can see it going back up at the top there. Like, it's like non-stop assault. Look at that. And of course you can still clash. Oh, I took a hit there. See, it's like bad timing. You have to attack before the attack hits you in order to negate it. Look at that, I just like went right through that. And then my HP is just like recovering now. So I'm not exactly too sure. I know his technique of the whirlwind is a really high DPS move because you just spin around smacking that pillar into whatever's in its way like a tornado. So Karok's playstyle is a lot more dangerous than everybody else that I know of because he doesn't get invincibility frames. You have to just take the attack in order to survive. So if you like a dangerous playstyle, just play Karok, considering he does like all the dangerous things. Like more dangerous than Lann, because you're actually taking a hit. You're not actually dodging the hit. You're taking the hit to negate the hit. Very interesting mechanic. His playstyle is like very different. I'm not too good with this. Let's see if I can pike his head. Oh yeah, and then whirlwind. If you level it up, you get more spins. As opposed to me, I have it only at rank F, so I don't spin at all. I wonder how I'd toss my pillar. So you can toss the pillar too, and it hurts a lot. Hold E down, okay. What? And then now I'm unarmed. Kick around. Oh, and I was trying to clash him there, but so that's Karok with a pillar, and yeah, he's a fairly dangerous playstyle, I'd have to admit. So then I'll show you the final character that's out for now. Herc is the next one out, but he's not out in the North American version yet, so I can't add this to the review. So this only goes up to Vella's release. So I'll show you Vella next. Alright, and this is Vella. She is one of the faster attack classes, just like Lann. She's more of a counter-attack person. I would say she's like a hybrid between Fiona and Lann. She attacks pretty damn fast, and she also has a lot of counter. Situational, so I mean I had to choose a boss here that does a lot of attacks. Fairly wide openings here and there. I mean, and then she can also deflect projectiles if you're using the swords, and if you're using the twin chain blades. But this is just a sword, so I'm going to show you the swords first with this boss here. I'm just going to grab an attack speed buff here. So what the swords can do is you have like a triple attack, you've got an AoE, and basically you've got 3 different levels of counter, which is your main damage for Vella. The green counter is the lowest level, and then the blue counter is like a double damage of it, and the red counter is like a triple or quadruple of your base damage, which hits really hard when it crits too. You do as much as like a 52 ult. So here's this boss. You just spamming projectiles. There's some projectiles you can't deflect. Nope, you're just like failing already. You can sort of swim too with the swords, do like a dash, but that's more of like a workaround. It's kind of like a bug, but it's not really. So as you can tell, she's pretty fast, but you gotta know what you're doing, and you have to be facing the enemy in order to counter. So it's not like Fiona where you can just block anything without worrying about where you're facing. So that's her twin blades for now. She's also kind of a support as well, because she can disable bosses, but more in terms of the DPS rather than support, unlike Evie. Evie's like full support. And then bosses like this, like the swords are great for solo bosses, but not the way I'm doing it right now. It takes a bit of a practice, but the swords, like generally, because you want the boss to be attacking you in order for you to counter. That's not going to work very well if it's not looking at you. So I can even like counter this tail here. Just go right through it, take no damage. The only problem is that if you're playing not on someone else, if you're not the host, you have 2-bar lag. Sometimes the lag actually gets you killed because the cross-cut invulnerability doesn't kick in fast enough, so you actually take the hit instead. And that's the red counter. It hits like 6,000, which is ridiculous. And then the blue counter is like 3,000, so it is like quadruple damage. This is like blue counter. Oh, I didn't time that right. So this is red counter, 7,000, 3,000. That's 10k damage, as opposed to the green counter, which is 1,920 for the other one. That's half the amount. So that means the blue one is the middle ground between that. And that's Vella. Oh, I missed the tail. And then you can disable a boss like this. And that's pretty much it. It's Vella in a nutshell. She also has the damage buff like Lann has. And I'll show you guys the twin chain blades next. So this is Vella's twin chain blades. I find it more to be a DPS over the swords if you have bosses that well, where you're undisturbed basically, so you can like output a lot of damage if you're just left alone. I mean, if the boss is on you, then your DPS just drops like crazy because you can't do anything. Whereas the swords, it's the swords, if the boss is on you, your DPS goes way high as long as you keep countering. Like sometimes you can be fast enough and counter twice in one boss attack, whereas opposed to these chain blades, you need to be situationally free. So I'm doing this solo, so it might be kind of stupid. Whoa, slow-mo there. This is best worked on like bosses like Lacoria, the twin chain blades, because he doesn't move around very much. Ooh, and then Heart of Ice buff, and then this is when you go crazy. Look at this, look at that, that's just like crazy DPS coming out. This is when a boss is doing nothing. He just lost like 2 bars of HP there. The only reason why I didn't continue is that I didn't have enough stamina. Oh jeez. Just regenerate my stamina. As you can tell, you can defeat this boss pretty easily. I'm not so sure you can do it on the 70 to 80 though. This is the 30 to 40. Oh. So just link and then grab that. So the DPS factor here is really high up, and the boss is just like sitting there. Let's see if I can beat this under 10 minutes. Now I have dual. Missed. Just continue this combo. Don't know what the Coria is doing. I mean, if I can get my ult off, I can also increase the duration of the buff that I'm using. There we go. Another few seconds in. Just continue pummeling this boss down. And your combo continues on too, as long as you don't get hit when you use the dodge. It's a very nice new weapon, I would say, but I still prefer the sword more than this, even though this has the potential to do more damage over time. So we're about to kill Lacoria here in under 6 minutes. This isn't like the 50 to 69 though. I'm pretty sure the 50 to 69 one would take me like 30 minutes or something if I was to solo it. So that's it. That's Vella's twin chain blades. Oh, I completely forgot my recording button was the pause, or the one to call the hailstorm. The freaking. Oh darn it! Hang on a sec. Hey everyone, so before I recorded like the class and the review of everything, I forgot to record this part. This is Vindictus' main early game, which is dungeon traversal. Season 1 is kind of like old content nowadays. If you play Season 2 on the missions list, or go to the other town through the boat at the docks, Season 2 offers quite a fair different amount because it's like an open world, whereas Season 1 it's more like a linear traversal for the dungeons. And this is what it is, what you're seeing here. This is how Season 1 ended up. Well, Season 1, for the first half of it, you'll be playing like dungeons that are kind of like this. It's not too exciting, but it gets you the hang of everything before you start fighting bosses. I remember like back then, even fighting like the Null Chieftain, it was fairly difficult, and nowadays it's like it's like a whatever fight. So I mean, you fight through mobs and then you reach the boss at the end. There's like many ways to do it. You can like use objects and smash the crap out of dudes, or you can just grab them and throw them yourself. Who knows? Ooh. So there's stuff like that, or you can like just grab them, toss them into the objects. Ooh. Like power drive them in there. So this is like the majority of Vindictus for the first little bit. It doesn't have to be like exactly like this. There's many ways to go about it. The fastest way I think is actually just grabbing dudes and throwing them into objects like that. It's like really fast. Or kick them into each other. Pick this guy up. Lann here is like pretty fast at clearing dungeons because of the gliding fury. Yeah, that's pretty damn fast. Wish I had more attack speed. Season 2, on the other hand, you have like a whole map, and then there's also like mini games and other things coming out too. Like, for example, if you go to the Twilight Desert, you can race against Charles the Excavator, which is kind of like a Mario Kart kind of thing. You just gotta grab the question mark boxes to speed up, and you gotta beat him, otherwise you lose the challenge. It was an interesting mini game and was kind of unexpected, and then try to guess for rewards behind doors, get blessings from the goddess and hand them into the runestone during the mission run. For season 1, it's more like these short missions. Like, you can expect these to be like 5 to 12 minutes long each. Not too bad. Whereas the season 2 runs, if you wanted to clear the whole map, all the bosses, do everything, that could take up to an hour. So it's kind of insane. Unless you're just like targeting a boss and just running straight at him, then it might take like 20 minutes depending on how far they are from the starting point. Or if there's any prerequisites to meeting the boss. Like, some bosses don't show up until you kill another boss. So it's very different from season 1. Once you hit about level 40, you'll see a lot more bosses and a lot less of this dungeon traveling. It's like literally just all boss fights at about that point, and like your missions aren't that long at all anymore. Unless the boss takes forever to kill, then it could be fairly long. So most of Vindictus' game is like this. For the first part anyways, the newbie levels or like the beginner levels. And as you progress further, there'll be more and more bosses. Like, once you hit around 30, there's a mission called Blood Prince, and you have to fight 4 bosses in the map. And that run should take about like 10 minutes or 15 minutes, depending on how well you do. And Lann's ultimate, Furious 7. Oh, kicked me in the face. Yeah, my Lann is like, I beefed him up to be crazy with criticals. Because his main function, or his main source of damage, Gliding Fury, triggers upon criticals. You can perform a Gliding Fury every time you critical. And if Gliding Fury criticals, you can perform a Lightning Fury, which is ridiculous. So it's like 2 Gliding Furies, and you just whiz around the map all over. Like, look at this, it left like scorch marks on the floor. Insane. So Lann is like one of the fastest DPS guys out there, next to Kai, the archer. So, and that's like the main traversal of Vindictus' game. Right. Yeah, so I looked through my footage and I noticed like some of my like my pause button is F10, and F10 was to call the ballista for Lucoria. But I mean, I looked through it, the gist of it was yeah, Vella's twin chain blades has high DPS potential for bosses that don't move very much and if they don't attack you very often. So that's Vindictus, guys. The game is really big. I'd have to say this is pretty impressive for a free-to-play. The game is like, look at these are all the missions you can do. There's 138 of them in season 1. You can see all these missions here, and you can see like, look, there's raid, and then there's like lower level raids. And I would say like the game from 1 to level 60, you can completely accomplish like without help. It's it might be kind of tedious, but I mean, if you play it here and there as a dungeon crawler, it's really fun. And then the skills in terms of things is like you build your character how you want, but eventually everybody will be maxed out and have the same thing, but that takes a long time before you max everything out. Like, I've been playing Vella fairly incessantly, and I have 96,000 ability points, and I'm still not maxed out everything, so it's really on player choice. Like, some of these things cost like 1,300 just the level ones, and a mission gives you like 50. But like early on, the ranks, this is only like endgame ranks. Endgame ranks, they cost like 1,000 something to level. But like early skills, like low level, rank F, and like everything under 60 is like only like 3,400. Like at about 20,000 AP, you'd already have like almost all your skills at rank A, which is good enough to carry you through to level 60 and onwards. The only time when the game I found started getting really slow was when you started going from level 70 to 80 and doing level 80 raids or 70 plus raids. is ridiculous because you need the gear and you need like a certain attack power to break the boss's defense. Like some bosses, like the Kraken for instance, have 11,000 defense. If you can't even break 11,000, yeah, it's 11,000 defense for like his tentacles. But if you wanted to destroy the boss himself, which is his head part, you need above 16,000 attack to do anything, because his defense is 15k on his head, or I think it was 14k, but that's ridiculous amounts. And that's pretty much the end game part about Vindictus. And then if that still doesn't satisfy you, there's like 3 difficulties in the game. There's normal, and then there's hard, and then there's hero mode for season 1. You had to be level 50 plus to do hero mode. That's basically when monsters get special affixes, sort of like Diablo or Path of Exile. Like they could be like explosive kobold or something, so when you kill it, it'll blow up and give you damage. And bosses like attack 50% faster and have about double the amount of HP and defense, which is ridiculous as well. If you're like doing it straight off the bat at 50, it's kind of near impossible, or it'll take a long time. But they have the chance of dropping enchant scrolls, which is for end game gear as well. Like good enchant scrolls grant you stuff like attack speed +2, balance +1, critical rate +1%. You may think that's little, but that's actually quite a bit. Especially like something like Passion. Passion is like 200 defense. It's basically about 1.5% less damage, and you can equip it on like 5 things here, so that's about 10% less damage, which is quite a bit. When a boss hits you for 700, that's 70 damage gone, and your potions can heal. Even your potion drinking has a skill factor in it. You hold down the button, and when you let go at the right time, it'll give you a boosted effect, but it requires you to stand still, whereas if you're running and drinking, it only gives you like a quarter of its actual heal potential. So that's Vindictus, guys, and there's tons of things to do in this game. You can also go crafting. Here's like crafts, a bunch of armor, materials like you have to get for each and every one of them. And cooking for food, you can get buffs at the campfire here. Element stones to infuse your equipment to give it like these small little bonuses, like on this it says willpower +3. It's right underneath the golden stats there. I can't really move my mouse because it's going to disappear. And other things are like transform is another one. There's 40 levels on them currently. You can only transform once every hour, and you can get a total of like 100 EXP to level up the transform per transform. You can get 110 if you join a guild that's level 20 and has the EXP bonus for transforming. And oh yeah, and the thing is, all of this content is actually free. You don't have to pay for any of it if you don't want to. Well, no, you don't have to pay for it. There's none of this content is locked. It's all like play to unlock. It's not like forbidden or like where you need to pay money to actually see the content. It's free. The only content that is kind of pay to win is like for enhancing your equipment, gear, and whatnot. But the game doesn't really have much of a competition factor to it. Not in my opinion anyways. There's PvP, but it's not like ranked or anything. It's like free-for-all, deathmatch, and you can get like neat weapons or equipment or accessories out of that too, which is why people do it. So there's rewards for that. And overall, this game has been alive for at least 4 years now, since 2009. So if you haven't played it, I suggest you try it. Try to at least like level 40. That's when you learn transform. Learn transformations at level 40. And yeah, that's it. So that's my review of Vindictus through all its playstyles. It has a various amount of playstyles that would cater to somebody, I would think, at least eventually. With the 7th character, Herc, coming out, Herc is like a broadsword user, kind of like Siegfried from Soul Calibur or Nightmare, and he can cross swords with bosses. I think that was the joke. He could cross swords with bosses, which sounds kind of dirty. But anyways, he's like a medium heavy hitter too. And melee, of course, with long reach. But we'll all see when that time comes. In terms of Season 2, Episode 3 looks sick as well. It's like some kind of cliff edge level. Season 2, Episode 2 was a desert. The first part was a jungle and a ship graveyard. The second part was a desert. And the third part looks like some kind of cliff canyon kind of place. It reminds me of one of the maps in Dark Souls. Anyways, so that's my review. If I wanted to give it a rating, it'd be probably like out of 100, it'd be about like 86, 90, pretty high. I mean, any game that I rate over 80, it's written on my review somewhere on the blog. So this is just a newer review that I'm doing via video. So I hope you've enjoyed watching, and I'll see you guys in the next few videos, or whenever. Thanks for watching.